Okay. So, so these are the topics that we learned yesterday. So we learned about what is server, what is network, what is public IP, what is private IP, and we have created one EC2 instance, Amazon Linux, and so we have seen how to install putty as well and how to log in from the putty. And we added some HTML script into Linux. So to log in into the EC2 instance, we have multiple ways. So one you can do it using of putty, and the other one you can connect to your EC2 instance directly from the console. The same thing that which we have done yesterday. And people who are using the MacBook, or if you are using any Git Bash or something, so we can also connect to this Linux instances from the terminal as well. Okay, so today let's go back again and we'll see again how to create that Linux instance and how to connect to the instance from terminal, and how to take a backup of the instance, and we'll also see how the purchasing models will be there for an EC2 instance. So we will look at these points today. Okay, so yesterday we have seen about what is a server. So hope you're all good with what is a server. So server is nothing but machine. If you create in cloud, we call it as a virtual machine. And if you have a machine with you physically, then we call it as a physical machine. So if it is an on-premises, then we call it as a physical machine. So you know about what is a server now. So if you miss about what is server, just watch the previous video once. Okay, and we have discussed about what is the network also yesterday. So network is something, the way that how we need a house. So a person will stay inside the house, right? Similarly, a server will located inside the network. If you want to access the network, or if you want to access the server, you need to cross the network and you need to access the server. So let's go back to the AWS console again. So there is one instance which is running. So let me terminate. This is an yesterday's one. So this is to terminate the instance. If you click on the terminate here, so the instance will get deleted. Instance will get deleted. And yeah. So now this is the AWS console. If you not created AWS account yet, so I'll tell you the steps. Um, so if you're not having AWS account with you, I suggest you to create an account. I'll tell you the steps now. And if you want to create it on live, so join to the mentoring session and just keep handy of your card. So you need to have a credit or debit card with you, which it should enable um, international transactions, and online transactions should be enabled on that card. So then only you can able to create AWS account. So to create an account, simple, you just need to go to the AWS console first. AWS console, login first. So once you go to the AWS console login, um, so generally, you are going to, I mean, I already shared IAM users with you, right? So with the help of those IAM users, you can able to log in into the AWS account. So bottom of that, so you can able to see a create free account. And if you click on that, it will ask you for email address. It will ask you for email address. It will ask you for email address. So once you give the email address, so you'll get a verification code to your email. You'll get a verification code to your email. And you need to enter that verification code. After that, it will ask you the address. So in the address page, it might ask you whether you need to create an account for business or personal. So make sure this should be personal. You should never select business, because if you select business, later when you started using of your AWS account, it will get generated a bill, right? So that bill will automatically debited from your account, from your bank account. So that is the reason we should make sure that you should never select business. You should always select personal. For sure that you should always select personal. After this, selecting personal, it will ask you a mobile number and all. It will ask you the card details. You should provide the card details, and 2 rupees will be debited from your card, and it will refund you. It will refund it to our account again after 24 hours, and it will ask you for the mobile number. So you should give the mobile number and select the basic support plan. So these are the steps to create an account. If you do not have the AWS account, so please join to the mentoring session, and please make sure you should have card with you. And for that card, online transactions and international transactions should be enabled. So then only you can able to add that, create the account. Okay, clear everyone? Vamshi, Mohammed.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so Mohammed, I can't see you in mentoring session. If you are free, please join to the mentoring session. If you have any doubts, clear the doubts there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. And I tried to reach you on mobile. I'm not sure whether it is your number or not. Can you just drop your number in the chat box so that I can just reach out to you after the session?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now, coming back, coming back, let's create an instance now, a fresh instance. The same thing what we have done yesterday, but today we will try to understand. Yesterday we have seen the steps, right? AMI, instance type and all. So we'll create. And today what we'll do is we'll see once after creating an instance, once after um, once after creating instance, we'll see how to take backup of instance. How to take backup of instance. So I'll tell you the importance of backup first. Okay. So first we'll create an instance, then we'll talk about a backup. Let's go back. So it's the same thing what we have done yesterday. So first we log into the AWS console, and there is an option called launch instance here. Click on launch instance here. And let me give, yesterday we have created a Facebook server, right? So we'll give the same name, Facebook server. And scroll down and selected Amazon Linux here. Scroll down, and you already aware of why we are selecting an instance type T2 micro. So T2 micro is a free tier eligible. So you can see the free tier eligible, right? So whenever we create an instance, we have to pay the amount to the AWS, right? So AWS provides a free tier services, few free tier services. In that, T2 micro is one of the free tier. You don't need to pay for that RAM and CPU. So it is a free of cost for certain hours. So I'm going to select the T2 micro, and if you click on the drop down, you can see different instance types here, like T2 medium, T2 small, T2 large. So these are all the different instance types. So let me just select the T2 micro and scroll down, keep it. So here, as I said yesterday or last two classes, for Windows, we are selecting a PEM file. For Linux, we created a PPK file because Putty supports PPK file to log in into the instance. So if you want to log in from the terminal, you require a PEM file, not PPK. So PPK is for only Putty. Whoever wants to log in from the Putty, so PPK file will be supported for Putty. So what will have happened, like if you created a PEM file, so what you can do is when you install the Putty, there will be a software called Putty Gen, which is automatically get installed. People who have installed the Putty on your Windows laptops, they can see the Putty Gen as well. So Putty Gen means which will help you to convert .pem file to PPK file. So these days we have an option to create a PPK file, right? Earlier, like 2 years back, we do not have option that .ppk. We can only create only .pem. So what we're supposed to do is every time we downloaded a PEM file and using of a puttigen, we converted that PEM file to the PPK file. Okay. So now just select the PEM file, click on create. Let me give a name FB. Okay. Create key pair. Done. Scroll down. So network settings, as of now, I'm not touching these network settings because here we have a lot of stuff like network, subnet, auto SN, public IP, firewall security groups and all, right? Slowly we'll go it one by one. So firewall security group, we will discuss it in the next class. Okay. And I'm going to allow the HTTP traffic. You might have a question that why do we allow this HTTP traffic as well? So that also I'll tell you in the next class. Okay. Scroll down and click on launch instance. Go to the instances now, refresh it. Now, to log into the instance from the terminal. So what I can do is I can open a terminal first. This is my terminal. Let me close all this. Open the terminal again. So let me check where I am. So I'm outside. So let me go to the downloads and ls. So the key pair name that I have given is fb.pem, which is already there here. You can see fb.pem here. So this is the fb.pem. Okay. So let me clear all the screen. Here. Now to connect from the terminal, what you can do is if you click on this Facebook instance, if you click on connect here, see there is a connect option here. So this is something that we have done yesterday. If you click on connect, you can able to log in into the AWS account, I mean EC2 instance. Session manager is a different type of login. Okay, so we are not talking about it. SSH client, you can see the command here, right? So first give the permissions to our PEM file, fb.pem. Chmod is the permissions. Chmod is the command to provide the permissions in Linux. So paste it, click on enter. After that, you can just copy this command, SSH command, go back, give here, enter, and type S. Done. We logged into our Linux machine. So you can see here 172.31.15.37. So this is our private IP. If you go back to the instances, if you just see the private IP of this instance, 172.31.15.37. 172.31.15.37. 172.31.15.37. So we logged into the EC2 instance. So that is how you can able to log in to your instance from your terminal. See, it can be a Git bash, or it can be a VS Code, or it can be a something like Mac terminal, whatever it is. You can connect it from here as well. Clear? Omshi, clear? I think hope you are using this Mac, right? Is it clear enough how we can connect to the machine?
Yeah.
Done. So now coming back, the same thing which we have done yesterday. Let's go and get the first. Let's install sudo space -i, and I means something like entering into the root. See, from EC2 -user to I entered into the root. So after entering into the root, let me install Apache here. Yum space install space httpd space -y enter. And service space httpd space start. Then now vi space slash var slash www slash html slash index dot html. So I open this. Now go back. So you can get the code from here, right? So if you give on right click, save page as page source. So this is a page source. If you save it, it will get downloaded. And I already downloaded yesterday and I opened this, right? So what I'll do is again, I'll control A, control C, copy it, go back to the terminal and paste it here. So let it get pasted. Done. It is pasted. Now to save the file, like in Linux, generally to save the file, you should come out of from the insert mode. That means you have to click on escape button. Then hold the shift and press on colon, WQ, enter. Done. Now, let's go back to the console and let me just close all this, close all this, close this as well, copy the public IP address and let's paste it here, enter. Yeah, we got the Facebook page. Okay. See, let me go back to the whiteboard now. So we have seen how to add that index.html. So then we'll see how to take a backup. So backup of an EC2 instance. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about backup of instance. So if I talk a backup of an instance, yeah. So here, see, in general, in organizations, there are multiple reasons to take a backup. First thing is, let's say, for example, a real Facebook application is getting developed. So they won't develop everything in single day, right? It may take 1 month, or it may take 2 months, or it may take 3 months. Every day, some extra feature can be added, or every day, some extra work can be done on it. So every day, what they do, so once they're done with something, so they have to take a backup of that particular server, so that if something happened to the main server, so what they can do, they can up the server from the backup. So that is one thing. Second thing, see, as I told you earlier, let's say, for example, this is a network. Let's say, for example, this is a network. And let's say inside the network, there is a EC2 instance. This is an EC2 instance. Let me change the color of it. This is an EC2 instance. And in this EC2 instance, they hosted Facebook application. They hosted the Facebook application. So what generally we do? We will try to access the Facebook application from outside. We will try to access the Facebook application from outside. If one person is accessing, that is fine. If two people are accessing, that is also fine. But it can able to handle the traffic of thousands of users at a time, right? In those cases, one single EC2 instance may not handle the traffic. So then what should I do? I wanted to replicate this server. I wanted to replicate this server. And instead of accessing directly to this server, so I wanted to add something like a balancer, like load balancer in front of this servers. Let's say, let's change this color. So I wanted to add something like a load balancer so that if the people are accessing to this load balancer, then the load balancer will route the traffic, will send the traffic to this servers, will send the traffic to this servers. In this case, in this case, so if I wanted to have another server with the Facebook application, So if I take again a new fresh server and if I start developing an application in it, it is not possible. There are a lot of issues. One is, it is time taking. It cannot be done within few minutes. The second one is, um we will miss, what do we call, the same thing we cannot do. Somewhere, we will block or somewhere, something will happen. Like we cannot maintain that continuity or we cannot maintain that there won't be any uniform in it, right? In that, right? So what we can do, we can take if I want to replicate the server, the solution is not to take a new server again and start developing an application on that server. The solution is take a backup from that server and from that backup create a new server so that these two servers will be same. So in organizations, so taking a backup is mandatory for each and everything which is running on our production servers or UAT servers. So definitely we have to take a backup of it at least twice in a day or weekly once or whatever it is, at least once in a day. It depends on their requirement. Definitely we have to take a backup. Now you can see there is an instance which is running inside our AWS account. This is the instance which is running inside our AWS account. Now, if I want to take a backup of this server, I should create an image. So to take a backup of this server, so go to the actions and go to the image and templates, and there is an option to create image here. Just if I click on create image, if I click on create image, so I need to add something like FB backup. Let me add this FB backup. And there is an option called reboot instance. So we should keep this in mind because if I am not going to uncheck this, it will restart my instance, my main instance where my FB application is running. See, let's say assume that if you're taking a backup of a server which is running inside the production. So suddenly, if you're taking a backup and if you forget to uncheck this, so what will happen? The instance will get restarted. So instance restarting means what? The server will goes down and again it comes up, right? So that shouldn't be happened when the server is running in the production, right? So we should make sure of it. So I'm going to uncheck this reboot instance. Scroll down and just click on create image. Let's refresh. Done. So where can I see this backup? So left side, you can see the images here, right? So if you click on AMIs, you can see the FB backup here. You can see the FB backup here. So let's wait. The status is pending here. We have to wait until it is available. We have to wait until it is available. Let's refresh this. So I've taken the backup of FB application. So it is pending as of now. So once the backup is created successfully, it shows available here. So let's wait until it comes to available state. So let's refresh again. Yeah. So now it is available. Now, let's go back. We have an instance and we have taken the backup of an instance. So backup is nothing but, let's say, for example, if this is my instance, this is my, sorry, let me copy this again. And if this is my instance, if this is my instance, so taking a backup is nothing but, taking a backup is nothing but creating an image for this instance. Taking a backup is nothing but creating image for this instance. This is an image. Let's say, let's change the color of the image, and this will be a image. So to get this image, you have to create a image. Taking a backup is nothing but taking backup. Is nothing but creating an image. See, earlier, when you create a fresh instance, you're taking a fresh image, like fresh AMI, which is having only the operating system. So from where you are creating an instance? From the fresh image. Assume that this is a fresh image. This is a fresh image. This is a fresh image. This is the OS image. In this, we'll have only OS. And this will have only the OS. From this OS image, you are going to create instance. From this OS image, you're going to create an instance. And from this instance, after installing whatever you want, you're taking a backup and you'll be getting another image. So you understood the difference between this particular image and this image. So let's say this is an image, this is a base image, and this is another image where you have taken it from the instance, like after installing whatever you want. And again, from this image, you can create an instance again. From this image, you can create a instance. You'll get the instance again. From this image, if you create an instance, you'll get the instance. So this is the flow. Now let's go back. We already have the image. To launch the instance from this image, what you can do is you can go to the AMIs here, and this is the AMIs, right? You can click on this AMI. There is an option to launch instance from this AMI, right? So you can do this, or else normally you can go back to the instances and you can click on the launch instance and you can name it a Facebook backup. You can take the Facebook backup and see here. Quick Start is having the base images. These are all the only operating systems. But if I click on my AMIs here, owned by me, so you can see the Amazon machine image FB backup, the one which we created in the dropdown. We have only one image in our account, like the my AMIs. So I selected that particular FB backup now. Scroll down, the rest of the steps will be same. Again, you can select uh, FB or whatever it is, whatever you want, and you can select the HTTP traffic allowed, and you can click on the launch instance. And if you can go back, if you can refresh this, yes, we can see this here. So you can see the Facebook backup. Let me refresh it. So still it is getting created. So you can log into the instance with the help of same PIM file, because I have given the same PIM file. So to log into the instance again, connect to this, copy the command, this command, SSH command, go to the terminal. So let me just click on exit. Let me click on exit. So now what we can do is copy that, just clear the screen first. And now I'm using a different IP address to log in into the backup instance. If I click on enter, and if I type S, um, okay. Just let me exit first. Yeah, now I'm in the MacBook. So now I can copy the command, click on enter, yes, enter. Okay, just command C. Let me just name it as EC2-user. The username is EC2-user. Let me just make it as EC2-user. Enter. Yeah, we logged in. So 171.31.735 is our private IP address of our backup instance. You can see if you go to the instances here, Facebook backup is our instance, and the backup IP address is 172.31.735. 172.31.735. You can see this. Now, what I'll do is I will not add the HTML code again. I will just enter into the sudo and I'll just start the Apache service. Service space HTTPD space start. Then now simply what I'll do is I'll go with the public IP and I'll try to access with this page. I'm getting the Facebook page. I'm not installed or I've not added anything in the backup server, right? This is my main server, Facebook server. So here I added the code which is related to the Facebook page. And the same server, I've taken the backup of it and I can able to access this because this is the backup of my Facebook server. So that is the reason I have not installed anything. I just started the server. So that is how you can able to take a backup of a server. Okay, let's go back. So now this is the process that we have done. So initially we have created an instance from the base image, like which is having only operating system. And we created an instance and then we created a backup of that server. And then we created image from that server, from our Facebook server. And from that image, I created another instance. And I accessed the same page where earlier I tried to access from outside, I tried to access this particular application. And now I try to access from outside this particular application. So we'll get the same answer because these two servers are same. Okay. Clear guys? Yes or no? Mohammed,
Yeah.
Lalit, yeah. Now, the one thing that you need to know is, see, when we have a server, always we are taking a public IP of, so I mean, this particular server to access the application, right? In general, also we'll do the same. So here you're accessing with public IP and you're getting a Facebook page. But in general, we do access with www.facebook.com. With that, you'll access it. So the point is here, when you access with this public IP, we have a service to route the traffic from the public IP to the domain name. That we'll see it later. Okay. But if you see, now the public IP of the server is 65.0.32.59. Remember this IP address 32.59. If I stop this server, let's say I stop this server, 32.59 is the IP address of it. If I stop the server, let's wait. The server is getting stopped. So once we stop this server, still stopping, stopped. So we lost the public IP. Now if I start the server again, see, the public IP address got changed. 32 dot, earlier it was like 32.59 something. But now 13.203.160.193. The IP address got changed. If the same thing happened in the real time, that will be a big problem for us. So we do not, see, generally, as I said earlier, when you access the public IP, so when you access the www.facebook.com, that particular traffic will be routed to the public IP of that particular server. So we will set this configuration. If always this public IP address is keep on changing, always we cannot go back and we cannot set the configuration, right? So our public IP address will always should be remain same. It should be same. It should never get changed. So for that reason, we have a concept called elastic IP. we have a concept called elastic IP. We have a concept called elastic IP. So we will also call it as a static IP outside, but in AWS, we call it as an elastic IP. So this concept is nothing but you're going to buy an IP address from AWS and adding to the server so that that IP address will be dedicated. It will never get changed. See, if I go back left side under network and security, you can see the elastic IPs here. So here, let's say, for example, if I'm going to allocate elastic IP address, and if I can scroll down, um, let's click on allocate. And if I'm going to select this, actions, associate elastic IP address, and select my instance, the backup instance, facebook.backup, and select the private IP of that instance. Click on associate. Done. So this is 190.206. If I go back, if I refresh this, you can see the IP address 190.206. Now, even though if I stop and start the instance, let's say, let me stop this instance again. So instance is stopped. Okay. Now let me see the IP address is same here 190.206. Even though the instance is if we start the instance now, so it will be the same. See, the IP address will be the same. So this is called static IP or elastic IP. So outside of the AWS, we call it as a static IP, and within the AWS, we call it as a elastic IP. Okay, this is the concept called elastic IP address. Okay, so today we have seen about how to take a backup of an instance and how to add this elastic IP or a static IP. Now, okay, we know that how to create an instance and we know that how to log into the instance. And we know that, okay, so the IP address which is coming automatically, the public IP address which is getting automatically, so that will keeps on changes whenever the instance restarts or stop and start. To avoid that, we need to take a elastic IP and we can attach elastic IP to the instance so that the IP address will not get changed. Okay, you're good with these two things. Now, whenever you create an instance, you have to pay for it. It's not a free of cost, right? You have to pay for it. How that payment calculation will be there? So generally we have different types of instances. We have on-demand instances. We have reserved instances. We have spot instances. We have dedicated instances. Dedicated instances. We have dedicated hosts as well. Very simple. So these are all different purchasing models that we have in our AWS. On demand. In the name itself, you can easily understood, right? Whenever you want, on demand, you can create it. Whenever you don't want, you can delete it. That's what we are doing in our AWS account now, right? Whenever I want, I'm creating this instance. Whenever I don't want, I will delete the instance. So this is called on-demand instances. So the on-demand instances pricing will be hourly basis. This on-demand instances pricing will be hourly basis. Whenever you create any instance, so this instance pricing will be hourly basis. If you don't want, you can delete the instance. So you can, it's like pay as you go model. Whenever you want, you can start it. Whenever you want, you don't want, you can stop it as well. Apart from the termination, you can stop it. So that is called on-demand instances. Okay, the pricing of on-demand instances will be calculated on hourly basis, and it is expensive. The price is high when compared to the reserved instances on spot instance. Coming to the reserved instances, so again, obviously, whenever you want any instance, you can also reserve it, like for 1 year or 3 years or something. So it depends on, one is an operating system. Always the cost depends on operating system and the instance type. On these two parameters, the costing will be depends on. So here, the storage and all will have a different cost. It doesn't matter how much time that you are running or stop. Doing it. So you have to pay for the storage cost. If you are like at 30 GB, you have to pay for it. But the instance cost, the running cost will depends on this operating system and the instance type. If you are running, that will be calculated for these two parameters. So here you can reserve an instance. Let's say, for example, I need Windows 2016 AMI, right? And T2 medium instance type. With these two things, you can reserve an instance. Okay. So you can reserve it for 1 year or 3 years or something. And again, you have no upfront, no upfront, partial upfront, full upfront. So you'll be having this no upfront, partial upfront, and full upfront. So no upfront, partial upfront, full upfront means it's something like an advance amount. Like if you don't want to pay anything upfront, you don't need to pay. If you want to pay something, you can pay. So based on that, you'll be getting your discounts. Okay. But here in the reserved instances, like for example, if you reserve it for 1 year and if you are using it for 3 months and if you realize it that I don't want to use it anymore, it doesn't matter. You have to pay for 1 year. If you reserve for 1 year, even though if you're using it for 1 day, it doesn't matter. You have to pay for 1 year. So that is called reserved instances. But the pricing will be less when compared to the on-demand instances. So that is the difference between on-demand instances and reserved instances. Coming to the spot instances. So here it is little, a kind of a bidding process. So whenever you want to have the spot instances, if you want to create these spot instances, you have to specify the maximum value. Like let's say, for example, the spot instances market value will be always get fluctuated. It is not same. If today it is 0.2 cents, tomorrow it can be 0.5 cents. Let's say when I'm buying the spot instance, if I gave like 0.6 cents, until the market value crosses this 0.6 cents, the instance will be with me. If it crosses 6.6, the instance will get terminated automatically. Okay, so what AWS will does here is whatever the hardware that they have, if they're not using it, the free hardware, so they will give that particular hardware for us. If someone is bidding for high price, so they will give the hardware to them. So they'll remove our instances and they'll allocate that particular space to the other people. So here you might ask a question that, so if it is not having a guarantee, like if the AWS is going to terminate it at any point of time, so why do we use the spot instances? It doesn't make any sense, right? So the problem here is, let's say, for example, if I wanted to test any of the applications which is having a high configuration where I need to spend a lot of amount for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days or something. So what I can do is I can look at the previous price of the spot instances. I can specify any particular price. If I need a high configuration, I cannot go with an on-demand because generally the on-demand pricing is very high. If I go with very high configuration, I need to spend a lot of money for testing. And for testing, I cannot go for a resort. So what I can do, I can go for a spot instances for 1 day testing or 2 days testing or 1 month testing. So testing, I don't have any production data in it. Even though it gets terminated, it's not a big problem for me so that I can go for a spot instances. So in those cases, people will use this spot instances, on-demand instances, reserved instances, and spot instances. Coming to the dedicated instances and dedicated hosts. See, generally what will happen is, let's say if this is our AWS account, if this is our AWS account, let's say if I created an instance in my AWS account. So this is a virtual machine in my AWS account. So this should get physically located at somewhere, right? Where it will get located? It will be located in AWS data center. It will be located in AWS data center. So about these data centers, so in AWS we have a different regions. the nearest region for us is Mumbai, and we have different regions. Let's say, for example, if I created some server, some virtual machine in Mumbai region, my server can be located in a data center which is in Mumbai region, which is nearby to me. So Hyderabad is also a region, but Hyderabad functionality is not yet started 100%. So we are using the Mumbai. Okay. In this Mumbai region, see, I'm going to create this VM in Mumbai region in my AWS console. Mumbai. See here, top right side, you can see Asia Pacific Mumbai. I selected the Mumbai region here. So, so there will be a data center in Mumbai where there is a Mumbai. So where my physical machine will be located. So what do you think? Like if I created a virtual machine here, so is it going to create a physical machine here? And if I create another machine here, again AWS is going to uh, add another physical machine here. So if you are assuming this, this is wrong because we will be having thousands of machines. Not just we are creating it, right? Across the globe, many people are creating it. If AWS is going to be maintain a separate computer for each and every virtual machine that we create, so it cannot be done. So what AWS will do is they will be having a big machine. They will be having a very big machine. They will be having a big machine in the data center. So they'll be having a lot of big machines like this. So what they do is they will allocate some space from that big machine. They will allocate some space like this. So if I create one machine, so it will allocate some space. Similarly, if I create a second machine, it will be allocating another one. So that is how AWS is allocating space for us inside a big machine. So our virtual machines are part of that one of the particular machine. It means our virtual machine is a shared machine from one of the physical host. There will be a physical host which is located in the AWS data center. In that physical host, whatever the virtual machine that we are going to create, it is a small share. Okay, so that is what is will be happening in the backend. But few people will not agree with this. Like there are many clients like banks or pharmaceutical companies where they'll be having a sensitive data. So they won't agree that our machine should not be a shared machine in another physical host. So they recommend they need a separate physical host. In those cases, they can go with the dedicated instances or dedicated hosts. AWS can also maintain a separate physical host for us that we call it as a dedicated instances or dedicated hosts. But the price of these dedicated instances and dedicated host is very high. Dedicated instances or dedicated host is very high. The difference between dedicated instance and dedicated hosts is the virtual machines which we are creating inside the one AWS account that will be part of a single physical host. That is a dedicated instance. If you say that I need a separate physical hosts, even though if they're if they're in single AWS account, even though if they're in single AWS account, so that is called dedicated hosts. Dedicated instances and dedicated hosts means, see here, two instances are there, two physical hosts will be there. So let me just copy only this. So two physical hosts will be there. Even though within the AWS account, if I have two virtual machines, two physical hosts will be there. If it is dedicated instances, this is dedicated instances. If within the AWS account, if I have two instances, so if I feel that, okay, those two instances are belongs to me so that I can maintain it in a single physical host, we can maintain it. So that we call it as a dedicated instances. And this we call it as a dedicated, dedicated hosts. Okay, this is a dedicated instance and dedicated host. So we can always calculate these pricings, like not just for EC2 instance, any service in AWS instances, we can always, calculate the costs from the pricing calculator. So there will be a pricing calculator. So you can just go with Google and you can type for AWS pricing calculator. You can go here, you can click here, you can click on create estimate. You can just click on create estimate. You can select the region. Let's say, for example, I want to do it in Mumbai region. I want to have an estimated price for Amazon EC2. I can click on configure here. Say shared instances, dedicated hosts, whatever it is, and number of instances. Okay, let's say if I'm going to select for T3 micro or something, I can save and add the price. So if you can see here, upfront cost, since I selected the on-demand instances, no need any upfront cost. Monthly cost will be 3.94 USD dollars, and the total for 12 months cost will be 47. If you click on the view summary, you can get the cost. You can export it into the Excel sheet, or you can share it with someone using of a link. If I click on agree and continue, there will be a link. We can share it from here as well. Clear? Hope you are good with this, guys. So this is how we can also get the pricings. Any questions? Any questions? All good?
No.
Yeah. Mohammed, Vamsi, all good?
Yeah.
Done. So for next one day, until tomorrow, I'll share the session, recording session on the YouTube. But from Monday, like we'll be having whoever confirmed, they'll be having a separate group, and in that group, so I'll be sharing you the Google Drive links. Okay, clear?
Yeah. Okay.
Done. Okay then. So see you on tomorrow. Bye.